Does that make sense? I catch people saying that phrase dozens of times a day in IT meetings, stakeholder calls, and sprint reviews. And I need you to hear something. Every single time you say it, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're quietly telling the room that what you just said might not have made sense. You're inviting doubt and asking for permission to have been understood. And in a business context, that's costing you credibility you have completely earned. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly which phrases your IT team is using that quietly erode confidence in their work and what to say instead. These are swaps you can use in your very next meeting. Let's go. Are you ready for the biggest irony? The people who ask, "Does that make sense?" are usually the most thoughtful people in the room. This habit of asking doesn't come from weakness, rather, it comes from care. You want to be understood, you want people to be able to follow the points you're making. You don't want to seem arrogant. Those are good instincts. The problem is that in a US based technical professional context with stakeholders, the words you use to signal care are actually being read as signals of uncertainty. So, research on executive presence and workplace communication calls this hedging language, where people use phrases that soften, qualify, or seek validation. While you might think of it as demonstrating respect and humility, hedging and over explaining actually signal uncertainty. They dilute your message and they invite others to question your competence. For non native English speakers, this also comes out as over explaining, over justifying, or in general saying more, not letting others get a word in edgewise. It's not your intelligence that's the problem, but it's just a communication habit, and habits can be changed. Here are the ones I see most often. Phrase number one. Does that make sense? This one is the most common and the most damaging because it's a request for validation, and it also suggests that you don't think what you just said was logical. So think about the message you're actually sending. I just explained something and I'm not sure it was clear. Versus the message you want to send. I just explained something important and I can tell it landed. The fix is simple. Instead of asking if it made sense, invite a specific response. What questions do you have? Or better, what's your reaction to that? You stay in control by trusting your authority. Phrase number two, I just wanted to. The word just is an infamous softening word that's doing more harm than good. I'm just checking in. I just wanted to flag this. I just have a quick question. Every time you say just, you're telling the listener that what follows is minor. You're apologizing for taking up space. But your questions, your check ins, your feedback, they all matter. So instead, drop the just. I'm checking in on the deployment timeline. I want to flag a risk. I have a question about scope. Watch how the weight shifts the moment just disappears. Phrase number three, I could be wrong, but, or this might be a stupid idea, but. This one is a preemptive apology. The intention is humility and deference, especially common in teams where people have been interrupted, dismissed, or their ideas have been rejected before. But what you think is showing respect actually comes off as, don't listen to me. When you say, I could be wrong, but before your idea, you've already argued against yourself before anyone else has had the chance to. So, similar to the second point, just drop the deference and state your point. For example, my recommendation is, or here's what I suggest. Based on what I'm seeing, I think the right move is. You can then follow it up with, what do you think? Or what are your thoughts? Or how does that sound? When you lead with conviction, you give your ideas more respect while also being open to feedback. So here's the full cheat sheet, 6 swaps. Use these in your next meeting, your next stakeholder email, your next presentation, and save this frame. I've linked to the downloadable version in the description as well. So instead of, does that make sense? Instead, what questions do you have? This keeps you in control and it signals confidence. Instead of, I just wanted to flag or I could be wrong, but instead drop that deference with, I want to flag. My recommendation is, I'd like your input on. So this totally removes the apology and it gives you space to show up clearly. It invites feedback after the idea, but it reframes as a request. Now, if you're a manager, a team lead, or a CHRO watching this, your role here isn't to police someone's language, but rather to create the conditions where people don't feel like they need to apologize for speaking up. When your engineers and analysts are constantly hedging their language, it's often a signal that the communication environment just isn't safe. This habit lives in the individual, but it's often trained or reiterated by the overall culture. So, three things you can do starting this week. One, notice the pattern without calling it out publicly. Two, model the swap yourself. If you stop saying, does that make sense in your own meetings, your team is going to mirror it. And three, create structured moments for direct communication. So, meeting formats where the expectation is to make a recommendation and not share a thought. People rise to the standard that's set for them, and our language takes on what we want to hear and say, which is why and how corporate culture is so nuanced across businesses and industries in the first place. At the end of the day, language is the most underestimated tool to upskill any IT organization's performance. The team who comes to stakeholder meetings and wins those big contracts isn't one that's more intelligent or has more output or puts in more effort. It's often the team who sounds confident and credible. You change the words and you start changing the perception. And if you work with a team where this is playing out, tag a colleague in the comments. I'd love to hear which phrase resonates most with your team. And if you're a CHRO or team lead who wants to go deeper to actually audit your team's communication patterns and build something sustainable, the link to book a free 20-minute discovery call is in the description and pinned in the first comment. That's where the real work starts. Subscribe if this was useful. I post content for HR leaders and IT teams on language, communication, and belonging now every week. I'll see you in the next one.